All right, so I wanted to jump right into some teaching. I feel like I made a breakthrough yesterday while I was working with somebody. As you know, I've been working with the Bengston Method since, anyway, about 13 years now. And I've seen it work and I've seen it not work. So I've had cures and I've had people who valiantly tried and died. And every time somebody died, I was, I really searched my soul. And we did it the right way. Everybody knew what they were doing, fourth stage usually, all that good stuff. The doctors were involved, all that. But I used to do a lot of in-person work because I'm an acupuncturist, and part of the sequence of this, and you can get this in the $47 class that's advertised all over the Facebook group, is that you put your hand over a person's body while you're spinning. And good morning. And often where the tumor is, oops, I don't know why the connection did that, but okay, hopefully it works. Anyway, you put your hand over where the tumor is, and if it, let's see, this thing. So let's say that this is the tumor. And if I put my hand, and this is the person's body, if I put my hand over their body, when my hand goes over the tumor area, it's almost like my cycle wants to stop. It wants to go clunk, 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 stop. And so then what I do is I put my hand on that and I find a frequency, or I put my hand different, there's different ways to decide where to put your hands, and that's what I teach my private clients. But then I find a frequency where that resistance is invisible to the spinning. And usually that's associated with the tumor cooling down and reduced pain and longevity. So how to do that over a distance. I want to teach you how to do that today, okay? So that we can help everybody. So one way to do this is to see your spinning meditation as not just something that you're doing in your imagination. You maybe created it in your imagination, but if you've been spinning for any length of time, the spinner takes on a life of its own, and it can become a non-physical organ of perception. And it can tell you how things are doing. So, like, my spinning would stop when I went over the tumor, like clunk, 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 stop. And then start again, stop, start, stop, start. It's as if it was difficult to spin when I was right over the area of concern. And you can do this when you're working by yourself. And you can do this while you're doing it on other people too. But I think I'll stick with how to work with yourself right now, because many of you are here and you have cancer. If you're working on somebody else, I guess just work on them too. The idea, though, is that anytime there's a physical ailment, and this is part of my octave resonance fourfold approach, anytime you have something physical, you also have something emotional, all right? Even this Sharpie right here, I might not have strong feelings about it, but I do have an image about it and a relationship to it that has feelings. So everything in our physical environment gets filtered through the astral, and part of the astral is the emotions. So, and I feel like I could talk about this for hours, not minutes. So I'm thinking how to shorten it so that we can actually help people today. We got this nice big long list. All right, so I think we're just going to do this in baby steps. I'd like everybody to start spinning right now, okay? And I'd like you to think of a happy thought. And notice if that happy thought makes it easy to spin a ball of light, a plate, a disc, your rapid image cycling list if you know how to do that. If you don't know how to do that, go learn it from Bill Bengston. This forum is just for me to teach you all my squirrely ways of playing with all sorts of things. right, good. And now I'd like you to think of an unpleasant thought while you're spinning, maybe something you're scared of. And notice if you really let yourself feel emotionally. Don't just think it, feel it. If it's harder to spin, and let me know in the chat if it's harder to spin. And then instead of like suppressing that feeling, stay with it and find a frequency of the spinning that spins anyway. And this way you're claiming your freedom. Like you may not know how to cure cancer, but you can friggin' spin your little ball of light. And what if it helps a lot? Okay? Good. Good. All right, April says it's harder. Okay, good. So April, just spin your spinner while you're feeling that negative emotion. And what's going to happen is the spinner's going to find a frequency where it can go forward. And this comes from me being a sound healer. So I work with tuning forks a lot. Before I was on the road with people, this resonance, and then you get into this cacophonous place where it's like all grungy and yucky, and then the harmony ensues. So it's not that you're trying to make it harmonious, you're just trying, well, actually you are. You're trying to find a place where you can simultaneously be with the negative thought and the negative feeling and spin anyway at a very, 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 very high speed. Way faster than a blender, faster than a car tire, more like the speed of green, which is 5.8 times 10 to the 14th cycles per second. Way, way, way fast. Okay, good. All right, a bunch of you just went a lot faster. That's good. That's good, that's good. All right, good. All right, and then I feel like this is going to be key for me saving lives. Because I look back on the people that didn't make it, and often they stopped cycling. And I thought, well, maybe it wasn't for them, and they sort of knew something. But now I'm thinking that might have been the case, but more likely is that it was very difficult to be as terrified as they were and to cycle. And if I'd given them this exercise of being present with the fear and finding a resolution through this cycling, like I don't know if any of you did it, but if you speed up the cycling anyway, and you're not trying to suppress the negative emotion, it shifts. It's a way to non-cognitively, or you're not like working with your issues, you're just working with the pure energy of the fear, and it releases, and you get this nice peaceful flow happening. Okay, so if that interests you, you might want to listen to this a bunch of times. If you're watching this on YouTube, we're going to go into an actual healing portion now, where you can join us on Facebook, Spirit Gate Cancer Support. And during our healing, we're going to be going to an imaginary sanctuary, and I'm going to be reading a list of names. And what I would like all of us to do is to put our spinner on and to just notice if when I read a certain name, if it's harder to spin. And then I want you to spin fast anyway, okay? It's a little bit of ego management of the process, but you need to kind of dip into this managing of the spinning a little bit in order to really release and let it just happen. You need to have contact. So if you were physical body, I'd have you touching. So how do you have contact over the distance? You can do it in your imagination by seeing the people that I'm saying the names of, and you can also feel the change in you or the change in your spinner as you as I say each name. And the part of us that can heal is the free part of us. All right, the part of us that's embedded in the matrix is embedded in the matrix and isn't that powerful at doing things like energy work. There's a surrendered, open, spacious part of us, a free part of us. And when we claim our ability to cycle fast for people or animals, even if just the name, hearing the name makes it slow down a bit. That's good. And I actually feel like making contact astrally, emotionally, imaginally, and then spinning enhances the energy healing. Because otherwise you're just saying God bless everybody, and it's not that effective. It might be nice at some global level, but we're actually trying to help individuals with their ailments. Okay, you ready to go?